We have the mother of all announcements. RedFOX Labs CEO and co-founder Ben Fairbank is with me, and man, do we have something for you. How are you doing, Benny?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Like a kid on Christmas Day, but doing very, very well.
Let's get into it. The RedFOX Labs team's been building up to this point for quite some time. Ben, let's have it. Unleash the Kraken.
Yeah, thank you. So today we get to sort of make everything come together, and we get to talk about the interoperability. So the virtual space is part of the announcement, but that's how it all ties together. So the virtual space, as many know, is a small town type of concept divided into 4 parts, but it's how we get there and how we unroll it that really is something very, very unique. So we'll be doing 2 stages. We'll be doing the first part of the virtual space will be a token stage, and the token stage will give people the ability to be able to have a share of all of the transactions and all of the profits that go through the virtual space. And the only way you'll be able to get this is we'll be going across to a Binance smart chain. We will be spinning up a version of the current RedFOX and also creating a yield farm. If you lock away your RedFOX, you will be able to generate a brand new token that will provide profits for the virtual space. But the best part about that is what will happen is all of the yield that we make as a major liquidity provider in the pool will be converted back into RedFOX and will be burning RedFOX at large rates. So it's great news for RedFOX holders. It's also great that we've provided an alternative to very expensive gas prices by being able to use a Binance smart chain. Binance brings us huge exposure. And this is the very first part of the virtual sale and the first part of being able to get your hands on something that produces a dividend and back to the holders.
So what does it all mean for the ecosystem overall? What will it do for the ecosystem? And RedFOX is utilized from the virtual space to all different ventures, games, NFTs, streaming, and now you're essentially a DeFi project too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've stated since the beginning that we would end up down that DeFi route. It was just inevitable because we knew what the plan was. We started with the end in mind and we worked our way back. So yes, we're going to have total value locked. We're going to have the farming mechanism. We'll have staking for the RedFOX holders as well. So that's the first thing that people will be asking is if we take tokens across into a liquidity pool, much like you did in Uniswap, and we are able to collect these new tokens, what about the people that don't want to go into a liquidity pool? What about impermanent loss? You'll be able to take the new token that's yielded, you'll be able to buy the new token that's yielded and stake that, or you'll be able to just stake your RedFOX as well. But what it basically means for the whole ecosystem is that we've started to inject that utility that we've been talking about. It means that we're exposed to different audiences, which is extremely important as we're building our crowds. It means that we've got, as I said, a cheaper way to be able to transact, but it also means for the ecosystem, we're starting to see how RedFOX plugs in. So with the virtual space, for example, everything will be run through RedFOX. Everything will run and course through the RedFOX token. Then that will be rewarded. The percentage of transactions will be rewarded to the new token holders. But the best part about all of this is that the RedFOX token itself has that utility. It has a plugin of the cashback streaming app, so the streaming platform in the virtual space. It has the ability for people to be able to do advertising, marketing, media. There's so much going on in the virtual space that it's just it's quite mind-blowing. So we're very happy to reveal that.
What will it actually look like when you enter the virtual space?
Well, that's the exciting part. We started off with like a very clear vision, and we were hoping that it would be quite good. And we had the benchmarks of Decentralands and your crypto voxels and all the rest of it. But when we sat down and designed what we wanted to do, we saw it as being more, I guess, more video game themed in the sense that we wanted different types of graphics. We wanted different lighting, we want different resolution, we wanted different makeups. So ultimately, the concept that was put together by an amazing firm was far exceeded our expectation. And then they've started pulling in people that are working on Marvel and other big titles that they saw this and thought this is a fantastic project. And then they wanted to get involved as well, which was very flattering. Then they had some ideas and concepts, and it's sort of just growing from there. And every Friday when they do their new unveil and show us the next piece of the world, we sort of have to balance ourselves between saying, yes, right, and that you're on schedule. But ultimately, we giggle inside and sort of say, this is way better than we thought it would be. So ultimately, it's going to be a virtual space, much like any other. You'll go in and walk around and you'll see futuristic looking buildings in different themed cities. So you'll have an art quarter, a gaming quarter, you'll have a music quarter, and then there's one quarter that's just for just general non-specific businesses. And that's for selling any type of digital or virtual item. But the good thing about it is we'll have 8 shops for marquee clients. So your big brands, maybe like a Coke or a Nike or something like that. I'm not mentioning specific brands. I'm just saying for big blue chip brands. And then 100 lots will actually be for sale for people. Now, as far as the sale is concerned, that will come about 8 to 10 weeks from now. And the sale itself will only be for auction in RedFOX. So the only way you can buy these lots to build your shops is in RedFOX.
Okay, great. So you've mentioned a few things there. Just going back, how you mentioned there's 4 quarters, and one of them is a gaming quarter. So for COGS players, will they be able to buy COGS in the space?
Actually, because we are obviously the creators of the space, there'll be like little vending machines, much like Coke machines, are all around the place that will have tubes and COGS packs and the ability to do that. But not only that, COGS will have its own, obviously have its own building, and it will have a chance for people to play and buy and chat and hang out. But the great part about all of that is that COGS themselves, the particular COGS will unlock certain features, access, rooms, events for COGS holders. So that the COGS pieces themselves will be a very interactive part of the new space for sure.
Yeah, well, my imagination is running wild.
The part that I love about it the most is that the buildings themselves are NFTs, which is something very, very new. And what we've talked about in recent conferences and stuff is that you can actually, for example, and I use Kanye West as an example, Kanye West can come in, buy a building, fill it with virtual t-shirts like wearables or NFT pieces or his music collections or whatever he likes, and then he can sell that NFT. So they are NFTs inside of an NFT. He can then sell that to you, and then you can run the Kanye West shop with official merchandise and all the rest of it, and make the profit on the markup. So this is like, we're taking it from being a piece of static art to property and IP and assets inside of assets, and we think that that's it's a really cool concept and a cool use.
Absolutely. You mentioned 4 quarters, and tell me who runs the quarters.
Great question. So the quarters will be run by what we call quarter masters. So you'll be able to apply in the beginning, and you'll get voted in. And then it will be based on KPIs, so key performance indicators, so metrics. So we're going to do something different than a governance system, how people can hold too many tokens and manipulate votes and stuff like that. It's going to be based on performance. So there'll be strict performance measurements to make sure that you've got tenants in the shops, that the shops are open, that the shops are doing sales, that the rent is controlled, that you'll help these people sell their shops if they want to sell it to somebody else, advertising, marketing, helping with the actual streetscaping. Because inside of this virtual space, we have billboards and advertising space that are also NFTs, and they can be sold, and we'll explain how that works going forward. But you've got real estate, advertising space, beautification, tenants. It's a job managing a virtual little world. Now, how that works is you would get a percentage, and that's explained in our white paper. You'll get a percentage as a quartermaster for running that quarter. And as long as you run that in a tip-top way, we believe that if it's anywhere near as successful as we think, these quartermasters will inevitably have to employ people underneath of them to help them manage what's going on in the space. But that's why we also keep it to 25 for sale lots in each quarter, because we've also got the 2 marquee clients in each quarter and 3 buildings for RedFOX in each quarter. What we don't want is for these quartermasters to have way too many things to juggle and can't be able to successfully get to their customers.
Let's talk about tokenomics. What are the details of the RedFOX token, Ben?
Yep, so the new token, as you say, is called RedFOX. I'll let people speculate as to why it's called RedFOX, but we'll explain that later. RedFOX is the new token. So the new token, as stated, will only be available through yield farming. So you'll take your RedFOX across to the Binance side using a bridge, or you can buy it on the Binance side. You lock it up with an equal amount of RedFOX, put it into the liquidity pool, and you'll receive RedFOX as a yield for locking away your liquidity. As stated, a couple of weeks later, staking pools will come in for both RedFOX and RedFOX. But for the tokenomics, it's 21 million in total, same as Bitcoin. 2 million of those will be locked in the initial liquidity pool by RedFOX. And as stated, any yield that RedFOX actually gets as a result of providing liquidity So all of the VFOX that we get will be flipped or converted back into RFOX, and they will all be burned. So nothing comes back to us for providing that liquidity. We're just continually burning the RFOX supply. So 21 million, and it will start on a ratio of emissions of 5 million in the first week, and then trickle right down to 45,000 in the last week, which is 20 weeks later. So by the end of 5 months, 19 million will be in supply, and we'll keep our original liquidity locked for a full year before we unlock that. So yeah, so it's going to be very, very sought after. The one thing I really want to stress at this point is, if people don't know how to do yield farming, if people don't know about liquidity pools, if people don't know how to do any of this stuff, we're not trying to educate you on how to do that. So what we're saying is, if you don't understand it, stay away from it. I said the same thing with the Uniswap pools and impermanent loss. We still had a lot of people go into pools, price of RFOX shot up, and they said, I've got less RFOX now. That's how impermanent loss works. So what we say is, just be mindful that if you don't understand the landscape, don't do anything. And then the question might be back to us, well, then what's the point of having RFOX? Well, obviously you're going to need that for the land sales, but any transactions that go through in the virtual space. But more importantly, you're going to be holding a token that is actually decreasing in supply, because we're going to be burning. So just by holding RFOX, you're still a beneficiary of this whole system.
Yeah, and the fact that it's going on the Binance Smart Chain, do you think that could help with any potential listing on Binance?
Well, we've been talking to the guys, obviously, and we always do, but they're not doing any listings for the next month or so. They're doing a bit of a restructure and change up, but this certainly gets their attention. It already has their attention, and if we go over there and are successful, I don't see why we haven't made a compelling case for it. But ultimately, that's their decision. But we couldn't tick any more boxes, that's for sure.
Okay. Just a quick rundown on the key timelines.
Yeah, so the farming itself, so the ability for you to be able to take your RFOX and earn VFOX, looking at the end of next month. We are going to try our hardest to sort of see if we can expedite those timelines, because we're ready and we want to go. And it's just a matter of just making sure that it's all put together properly. So we're just waiting for that. By the middle of next month, we'll have a view of what the world looks like in its totality. So that'll give you like an aerial view and show you what the layout is and how it's all structured and set up. So that's going to be really nice. And then the month after, we will have the land sale, which is actually for the blocks that you can build your shops on. And that, as I said, that'll be in RFOX only. It'll be a $5,000 RFOX reserve. So minimum bet, minimum offer, minimum bid, and that will last for 72 hours. So it'll be the highest bidder will receive those blocks. So there's only 100 for sale. That's it. But one of the things that's really important to understand as well, because after the 5 months is finished of the yield farming, that's when we'll start to pay the first payout to the VFOX holders. One thing that's very, very important to also understand is that the VFOX holders themselves, they will actually be able to just store it in any of the wallets that they have currently, like a trust wallet or a multi-chain wallet. There's no need to sort of reinvent wheels. The wallets like Trust Wallet hold both the ERC and the Binance Smart Chain tokens as well. So there's no real issues in people having to sort of learn a whole new landscape to be involved in this.
This is just incredible. Watch out, big tech.
Yeah, and I think the most important element as well is that we're just trying to make the e-commerce, retail, and the whole digital experience a lot more immersive and interactive. And we're trying to combine technologies that we've built. And this should, once people see the light paper and the ecosystem map, this will show how everything that we've been building plugs into each other, feeds each other, and just increases utility and value for the RFOX token.
That's all we have time for. This is really next level stuff, and I'm sure the viewers have a lot of questions. So we'll be releasing all the info that you need over the coming weeks, so you can get involved if you want to. Join the mailing list to keep updated and prepare for the VFOX farm when that goes live in April. Any last words, Benny?
Thank you so much for your support.
Okay, thanks, Benny. Catch you later.
Thank you.